This is V from A Canadian RVer. Today what I want to talk to you about is a very short video on dog legs or cheaters, or they're called various names, but of course anybody with a 50 amp circuit of course will need one of these. So first of all, this is your very typical cord, which of course takes you from 30 amps to a 50 amp connection. And then that way you'll get 30 amps on your 50 amp service. Now our coach of course uses 50 amps, and it's always power hungry of course, with the 2 air units, the residential fridge, all the electronics, the TV, and various other things that keep the batteries charged. So again, you plug into a 30 amp at this end, you plug in your 50 amp in at this end. Now if you want to cheater it down to 110 or 120 as they call it, you can actually use this connection right here, which of course takes you down to an ordinary receptacle. And what I use this for is sometime when we're boondocking, we have a 2000 watt Honda generator, which is really quiet. And then what I do of course is I'll plug this end here down to that right there on the 30 amp, takes me down to 110. Of course we're only getting 15 amps, or about 16-17 amps out of the generator. And then I plug in my 50 into here. But another nice little device that we found is this one right here. And what this does, of course, that's the female 50 amp, very similar to this 30 amp connection here. But what makes this a little bit different, as you can see, is it actually takes you out to 2 30 amp plugs. Right? So now what you're doing is you're plugging one into a 30 amp box, and if you're fortunate enough to have another 30 amp box there, you'll plug them both in. So now what happens is it comes down the cable, there's a little light in here which you can't even see right now, and it just turns green when you have the right, I wouldn't say phasing because it's still single phase, but you'll have 30 amps on this one, 30 amps on this one. They're actually connected through this box right here, and it gives you the 50 amp female connection at this end. So the nice thing about this is you're actually cheating the system a little bit by taking 2 30 amp circuits and taking it back up to 50 amps. We've used this in a few parks, and I'll insert a picture here to show you what that looks like. That's my little talk on how we actually get around to our 50 amps with the 2 different dog bones, cheaters, dog legs, whatever you want to call them. But again, anybody with a 50 amp RV is going to need them, especially the single one. Now, I'm sure that if I plugged in a 30 amp here to the 50, it would probably do exactly the same thing as the single one does. It's just that I won't have 2 boxes. But another way around that is I would take a 30 amp extension cord, plug it in across to another RV spot if no one's there, and now I've got double the power again to take me back up to 50 amps. This is V at Canadian RVer. Thanks for watching.